Hi, it's Veronica with the Crafty Ladder. We are continuing with our sessions for the home set for the Apothecary Cabinet. The color story that we're using is white, brown, and black, and the accent colors are green, a shade of blue, and a shade of purple. So kind of keeping with a relaxing vibe. For this session, we are looking at the key fobs, or really keychains. I keep saying fobs, but really the keychains. So let me get these pieces out of the way. And these are the keychains we'll be working with. So what I'm thinking is kind of using the same technique that we used for the keys on the metallic piece, the rings. So we'll use some of that here, and then we'll just continue on with the same accent color story, the blue, the purple, and the green for the keychain parts. So I can see that there's a little bit of char on the pieces, so we're going to go ahead and clean that up. Let me get the key out of the way. And that little house, the hearts. Just taking a wipe and cleaning that up. And you can see it's definitely dirty. I've mentioned when you've got your settings dialed in on your laser, you don't really get that much char, but I do find that some pieces of wood, for some reason, still produce some of that charring. Alright, so let's go ahead and get started with the silver accents. We are using a metallic paint. This is a folk art metallic, and I looked it up last time, but I need my magnifying glass because it's really, the font is really thin and really small. It is called Silver Anniversary. So the thing is that the paint is it is metallic, but it really comes off as kind of gray, and that's why I decided to go ahead and add that ultra fine glitter. To the metal piece on the keys, and we'll do the same here, just for a little added interest. We'll do all of them at the same time. And this is just a flat brush. You can use a wipe. I can see I got some on the edge, so I knew that was going to happen because this is a little bit big of a brush for this task. Probably did the same over here, yep. No biggie, just clean it up with a wet wipe. And so we're using this metallic as kind of a base color, really. I was thinking that we would use multiple colors here for the heart, and I haven't decided what to go with for the other two, for these two, but we'll figure it out soon enough. Again, clean up the edge. And now I'm just going to add some of that. I can see I forgot to clean up the inner part of that circle. Same thing here. Details. It's all about the details. Alright, so this is extra fine glitter. I don't know what brand this is. I'm pretty sure I got it on Amazon. So if you're interested, just let me know and I'll look up my order history and see if I can find it. And you only need a little bit. It is extra fine glitter. And it just adds a little bit of sparkle. And I think it enhances that idea that this is a metal finish. And for the keys, I was thinking of brand new cars, the way that they do this, the painting of those cars, the paint jobs usually have that little sparkle in it. If you look close enough, it just gives the car some vibrancy. So that's what I was thinking of for these metal parts of the keychains. It adds just a little bit of sparkle, and I think makes it look pretty. You know, when I was younger, I was big into keychains. Had several on my keys for my apartment during college. So I had my apartment key, my car key, and I lived about an hour away from home, 45 minutes away from home. But I still had my house key on there because I would come home for the weekends, at least that first year anyways, that first year for college. And then I had all the keychains on there. As I got older, didn't worry so much about the keychains. And now I just have a one. And I think it's just the one that came with the, I have a truck that just came with the truck. Let me know if you use a few keychains or and what kind it is. Love to know. Alright, so I think we'll go ahead and go, let's do the heart one first because I know we're going to use multiple colors. So I was going to do this one first, but let's go with the heart. We're going to use multiple colors on it. So I want to go ahead and do, we'll do the outside. If we go blue, green, purple, blue, I think I'll like that. So let's go ahead and go with the blue. And that is Apple Barrel Sky Blue. And we will do a little bit of shading on that as soon as I get this base on there. Of course, the beauty of these wood pieces is that you can take the color stories however in whatever direction you want. Now, of course, I'm not worried about the score lines or anything. Those score lines are just there as your guides so that you know where to place the other pieces, the overlays. Alright, we do need to add a little bit of a shading around the perimeter of the heart. So for that, I'm using Apple Barrel Admiral Blue. I said it right. And I'm just going to use the wipe since I already have it. And I only need a touch of it. I'm going to get most of it off of there. And you can use an angle brush, but I'm perfectly happy using my nail to go in there with this little wipe and get a little bit of shading. Around the edge of this little fella here. It doesn't take much time, it doesn't take much effort, and it's a little extra touch there to get that shading in there. Alright, and so we said that that was going to be blue, then the green, then the purple, then blue. So we need to go ahead and go back in, and I'm going to use my little wood block. It's got double stick tape on there. So the little heart's sticking, and a little bit of shading around the edge, a little bit of that darker blue. And that's it. Okay, now we're going to go in with the green. This is Decor Americana Satin, and it is cactus. And so we said this heart would be green. And we're going to do a little bit of shading with Decor Americana Lush Green. Again, just using the wipe. Great. Now, purple. We are using Lavender Sachet, Apple Barrel. And for the shading, Royal Violet, Apple Barrel. Same wipe. Okay, great. I'm looking at that green, and I think I want to take off a little bit of that paint that's in the middle. Maybe dry by now, so I think a little bit came off. Alright, probably won't be able to see that much because remember that's all overlaid. Okay, so now we need to go ahead and glue this up using Type Bond Quick and Thick. Might need more than that, but we'll go with it for now. Just using my finger. Some glue on there. And use the score line as your guide for placement. Now the one thing with the glue is that because it gives you time to cure, it doesn't seize up right away, which is a good thing. It does move on you though, so you just got to be careful not to, when you're putting the pieces on top, to try and not shift the pieces below. Okay, there is a little bit of squeeze out right there. It does dry clear, which is great. And now the blue one, which is on the little block. I think it looks fantastic. I love the little accents with the shading. And I think I am going to go ahead and add some Dimensional Magic. This is Mod Podge Dimensional Magic. And I'm just going to add it to, I could add it to every layer, but I think for this I'm just going to add it to this little top part here. And that's going to take about a day, 24 hours to cure. I'm going to use a skewer to work that to the edges without getting it to go over, hopefully. The medium does tend to well up and stay kind of bonded so that it won't go over unless you do put too much on. So it's just going to add a special little touch. I think you can see already. It's going to add that little bubble. Oh, and I'm so tempted to do it around the rest of it, but I think for now we'll just leave that top part. If you do add around the rest of it, please share it with me. I'd love to see it. Okay, so that is the first keychain. Now let's go on to, I guess, I don't know. We use the blue here as our foundation. So let's go ahead and go with the green for this one, I think. All right. And I need a wipe. Again, this is the cactus. And I have some there, but I need a little bit more. So I'm just going to go ahead and put it over here. And I've got a bunch of wipes cut up here on the side. I keep it in this little container. And I just use a mister to add water if it starts to dry up. Dab most of that off. I don't know why I'm bothering painting the center. It's going to be covered up with the overlay. You kind of get in a zone and you start painting and forget that you don't really need to worry about all of it. Now I'm going to come in with that darker, that lush green. Get some shading on there. Need a little bit more paint. Again, you can totally use an angle brush for the shading, but if you've got the wipey ready, just use that. Okay, let me check it out. Looks pretty good. Now, the step that I'm going to go ahead and take is that for this green cactus color, I am going to add some glazing medium. And I want to do that because I want to be able to see the scored lines, the message. Didn't open that all the way. I want to be able to see the scored lines. I don't want them to disappear. And the paint, even though it's really light, a really light color, it's opaque. Which means if I go ahead and go on there with just direct straight paint, I will cover up the score lines, and I don't want to do that. So I'm going to take that skewer, I'm going to mix that up. It's very little paint. I say 3 parts glaze to 1 part paint, but really it's even less paint than that to get the tint. It adds some a sheer quality to the paint. It's not as saturated, which is what we want. So I'm going to come in with the wipe, and I've done this enough times that I kind of trust it, but if you're unsure, you can always just come to the back and test it out to see if that's, you know, what you're going for, if it is sheer enough. And if it's not, if you don't think it is, then you can come just add a little bit more of the glaze to it. And this helps to make sure that you can still see the message, that you're not covering up completely the score lines. There's still some, it's still sheer. And I'm still going to go ahead and come in with the wipe and take off some of that paint. It adds a little bit of interest as well. So you've got different shades of green. You've got some of the wood from underneath coming through, and you're adding pretty much lowlights, highlight areas to the piece. And now I'm going to go ahead and come in. I think I took off a little too much, so I'm just going to come back and dab that on there. But you see, you can still see the message. And you don't have to worry about coming in and cleaning score lines, which sometimes you do have to do depending on what kind of piece you're working on. And now I'm just going to come along the edge and add the shading with that lush green. And I think for the little heart we're just going to go with white. So I'm going to go ahead and glue the little heart on first. Usually I paint it and then add it, but that way we don't have to worry about drying. Waiting to pick it up until it dries, so we can just get it on there and then we'll paint it. And I'm going to need a little more glue. That glue, by the way, you can find it on Amazon, but it's a lot cheaper if you get it at Walmart. So next time you go to Walmart, pick some of that up. I've used the regular type on the original as well. And my Walmart only sells the smaller bottle, which is I think an 8-ounce bottle, but I like to get the larger bottle, which you can find online. Walmart.com. Alright, use that score line as your guide to get that on there. A little bit of seepage coming through there. Okay, looking good. Now I'm going to come in with some white. This is Folk Art Titanium White. And I'm going to take my detail brush and come in and get some white paint on that little heart. And I think I am going to add some of that dimensional magic to this little heart as well. And I can tell I got a little bit on the green area here. Sometimes I don't know how to manage things, but if I'd tried to get it, I probably wouldn't have been able to. Since I didn't want to, I did. Okay, looks good. That'll just take a moment to dry. I think it's looking a little crooked, so I better straighten it up. There we go. Like I mentioned, that glue, it takes a little bit of time to set up, so if you're not careful, it'll move on you. Alrighty. Now this one is going to be the purple. So it's that lavender sachet. It's really a pretty shade. I don't know how they select these names, but I'm getting kind of a lilac vibe. It's kind of into the pink family as well. Okay, and we're going to come in with some of that darker purple. What is it? Royal Violet. Excuse me. So anyway, I don't know how they come up with these names, but imagine their color charts that they've had to keep for years and years. It must be a fascinating job. Working on formulating colors. I think it was last month or maybe 2 months ago that Decor had announced it was going to be retiring some colors, and I guess they received a lot of feedback that people were not happy with some of the choices or some of the colors they were going to be discontinuing. So they said they would revise the list. Alright, looking good. Now we're going to need to get some more of that lavender sachet. And I need to add some glaze to it. So I'm looking for an area here. When I can, I try and reuse the plates because it's easy to just come in and take some of that off. I need to find a little spot where I can use this lavender sachet with some of the glazing. I actually put too much paint on there. I don't know why I closed that up. It's just a habit. Just, I guess, a good thing to do. I don't want it drying up. So we're gonna mix that, and I'm not gonna mix all of it. I put way too much paint there. Okie dokie. And I always clean the skewer because I'm going to reuse it. And we are going to come in, grab some of that. And again, it's sheer enough that you can see the message, the score lines coming through, which is exactly what we want. Now we need some of that royal violet. I think purple is historically one of those regal colors. I guess how it was originally naturally made. Must have been an expensive process. The color of royalty. I could totally be making that up, but I think I've heard it enough places that it's probably got some truth to it. Alright, there we go. Got some shading on that. And I think we'll also go with white as a little accent for this one. So we just need to glue it. And at this point, I think this is the glue, yeah. Put it on the wrong side, but no worries. No worries. I'm going to take the glue off of here. I put it on the wrong side. The chimney's on the left. So I put the glue on the wrong side. But with the white, come in, take it off. And get it on the correct side. And now we can glue it up. Got too much glue in there. It's now inside the little cutout. So I'm going to take the skewer and get some of that glue out of there. use the score line as your guide. Sometimes I go way overboard. And you'd think you wouldn't pick up that much. I'm just using my finger when I pick up the glue, but gosh. And watch that move around because it gives you some time to set up, which is nice. Unless you don't want the piece to move, but anyways, there it goes. So now we want to go ahead and glue that overlay to the backer. Use the score line as your guide. Check to make sure you didn't shift the house like I just did. Looks pretty good. Now I'll take that little detail brush and dip into the white paint and paint our little house white. And I will come in with the dimensional magic and fill that little heart in. But I'm going to give the white a little bit of time to dry. Just like we did with the green keychain. So dimensional magic, here we go. And I'm just going to use the skewer to move that around a little bit. Just make sure it's not coming off the edges so that it stays and bubbles up here. So when it dries, it'll give it that little 3D effect. Oh, you can't really tell. I'm sorry that's not coming across really well on the camera, but looks like it's got a little bit of, you can see the sheen here on the blue one, but since it's white, I guess you're not seeing it too well. So since I'm just going to fill in the little heart, the little cutout, I'm going to go ahead and not wait for the white to dry completely because I'm just filling in the inside there. And I probably put a little bit too much. So I'm going to come in with the wipe and kind of pick some of that up. There we go. Alrighty. We are set with our little keychains and I think they look pretty. So let me get this out of the way. And they're going to go nicely with our tags. Our tags are still setting up, so I don't really want to move them around too much. They've got the 3D magic also, so I don't really want to move them around too much. We need to give them their time to cure. And our color story continues with the accent pieces. Right? Just continuing on as we go through completing all of the pieces inside of the home collection that are for the Apothecary Cabinet. And again, these are all small. They're typically less than 3.5 inches. these little keychains are about 3 inches more or less. So they are intended to fit inside of a drawer for the Apothecary Cabinet. So here's the inside of the cabinet. This is the face of the cabinet. And if we were to put it inside of the drawer, you'd have a little bit sticking out right there. And of course there is one that's a little shallower so that it would sit here and you could see more of it popping out of the top of the drawer. Alright, so that is it for the keychains in the keychain set inside of the home collection. The next thing we're going to work on, I think, are maybe banners, or there's just a few more pieces left in the collection. So I don't know if we'll do banners or maybe we will do there's a couple more pieces, the We Are Family set. So I'll think on that and then we will continue with that. I'm Veronica with the Crafty Ladder. If you have any questions, please let me know over on Facebook or send me a DM, or you can send me an email to thecraftyladder@gmail.com. And please, when you get your pieces painted and ready, please show me. I'd love to see what you come up with, what color story you decide to use. You can send me a photo over on Facebook or through email. So thank you so much for joining me, and I'll see you on the next session. Bye.